Where does he go? I don't know.
Since the dawning of time, man has yearned to break the shackles that bind him to earth and rise into the heavens above, to be with the birds and the clouds. He has been able to do so, to fly faster than the speed of sound, to journey to another planet, to stay aloft for days at a time. But until recently, the freedom of flight was restricted to a large, heavy piece of equipment that controlled the man more than he controlled it. Then came the graceful delta wing kites. Because of the nature of man, he must strive to do better, to compete, to reach the unknown. The art of kite flying has reached the plateau of competition. The scene for this confrontation was the National Delta Wing Kite Tournament, sanctioned by the American Water Ski Association and held at Cypress Gardens, Florida. Johnson Flex Wing Kites, Cypress Gardens, Florida. Moy's Gliders, Australia. Bennett's Delta Wing Kites from California. American Glider Ski Sails from Michigan. Combs Kites from Miami, Florida. The men who make the kites and the men who fly them have much in common. Since they're all flyers, they're all naturally interested in such things as lift, stress, climbing ability, and above all, safety. Each man has his own thoughts on how to fly the kite. The basics were the same: takeoff, climb, release, glide, and landing. Although the entrants in the tournament were all expert flyers, the landings were not always smooth. The target, the boat and driver. The flight begins. The tow line snaps tight. The wind fills the big sail, and the kite man is off on another adventure, limited only by the length of the tow line. The men in the boat must coordinate with the kite man for a safe and successful flight. As the tow line is released, the most exciting part of the adventure begins. Man is free. Only the shifting of his weight and the pressure on the control bar in front of him control his descent. For the contest, he must make as many turns as possible, stay up as long as possible, and try to touch down in the center of the target area in order to score the maximum amount of points. While this landing was not particularly smooth, it was almost perfect in terms of scoring. Another release.
Downward from out of the sky to win the prize in the water. Light and breezy, you know it ain't easy to touch the rain in the water.
On shore, the watchful eyes of the judges score the landing, total up his time aloft, count the turns, and tally his complete score for the flight. Also of great consideration is the size of the flyer in relation to the square footage of his kite. A handicap system was used to assure that the lighter contestants would not have an unfair advantage over heavier entrants. Safety was always the utmost in the mind of the kite flyers, hence the frequent checks of the mechanism that releases the tow line from the kite. Of course, at an event such as this, not all that was worth watching was in the sky. As the tourney progressed, competition got tougher. The landings closer and closer to the center of the target area. Occasionally, they tried too hard to hit the bullseye, with jolting results. Such as this delta wing kite that would never fly again. One by one, the competitors were eliminated. As the days passed, finally, there were only 7 finalists. Paul Solovskoy, a Minnesota native, the eventual winner of the National Delta Wing Tourney, tells us how he did it.
I think the whole thing behind this was the ability to fly over buildings and catch thermals, because it keeps you up and you can stay up longer and crack up the seconds in the air, and also stay up longer and make more turns. I'm glad they allowed certain contestants to fly over these buildings. It's dangerous, and that if your kite comes apart, you get a good bounce on the ground. But riding these buildings and the heat coming off some of these buildings is the name of the game. And when you're riding out in the water, it's too cold to ride it well. And the secret is back behind me.
Roland Alexander of Orlando, Florida, as he made his final flight. Jim Laurie from Michigan flew the biggest kite in the contest. Dick Robbins came all the way from St. Paul, Minnesota to finish in the top 7. A sudden gust of wind carries Dick away from the target area. Out of Lansing, Michigan, Dave Anderson told us about his flight plan.
I decided to make a complete recopy of the flight I had before, except I was going to add or come in at the target the same direction that Paul did, because I've all the way through the tournament I've usually copied my flights after Paul, except that I have the advantage in being able to stay at a higher altitude over these roofs with the thermals. Came out straight into the lake and hovered, and then of course banked it and right into the target.
Max Combs of Miami describing his last flight.
Pick up the nice easy climb right now. Hang up there right on the top of the line. Pull the release. Start into your turn. Maintain that speed. All right, first 360s completed. See what the wind did. Try to compensate for the way the wind drifted me, and then start on my next 360. Maintain that speed. Whoops, I'm a little bit high. I'll hold off just a second. Okay, now it's time to start. Start into the left turn. Keep making the left turn. Okay, now the last final 90. Drop it in there on the target.
And a Californian, Bob Kennedy, was to make the last flight of the day.
Bob Kennedy from Escalating, California.
Kennedy's flight gave him enough points to finish 5th.
This is Dick Robbins, 4th place.
Dick Robbins accepts the award for 4th place.
Thank you very much, sir.
Hope to see you back again next year, the 1973 finals.
We'll be here.
This is Max Combs from Miami,
Max
Florida.
Combs seemed happy with his 3rd place finish.
Well, I feel the tournament come out real good, and I'll be back next year, Herman.
David Anderson, the runner-up, appeared relieved that it was all over.
It was real hard. I mean, it was really tough because a lot of kite flyers came through some really good flights, you know. And I'm really nervous. I was nervous all day, and I can't wait to go and get something to eat.
And the Florida Cypress Gardens president, Dick Pope Jr., gave the National Delta Wing crown to Minnesotan Paul Solofskoy.
Never got out of watching anything, watching you fellas up there, and congratulations there, champ. So now you get the kisses.
Yeah, I want this one.
We want to keep her here with us there, by the way, but here's the trophy that goes along with it.
Thank you. Congratulations.
So the challenge continues. Man against his nature. He must be free. He must fly farther. He must fly higher. The Delta Wings give him that chance. Freedom, exhilaration, a rush of cool, clean air against the face, open skies, and a whole world of pure joy stretch out below. Is this not as close as man can ever get to his friends, the birds?